Franchises need life cycles. If a franchise goes on too long, it becomes stale and boring. When this happens, it's the job of the publisher and/or developer to shut the franchise down and devote those new resources to new ideas. The trouble is that all too often, a franchise will be killed before its time. These are the top 5 franchises that I think should be given a second, or in some case, a third, chance. Number 5 is the Crash Bandicoot series. No, not the cheesy kart racers, I'm talking about the old PS1 platformer Crash Bandicoots. Looking back, there was nothing particularly special about them, just that they were incredibly solid games from start to finish. Jedi Knight takes the number 4 spot. These games probably had the best lightsaber combat of any other game, allowing the player to swing the saber in any direction desired, rather than carry out pre-animated combos. Jedi Knight 2 was the pinnacle of this series. There was nothing especially wrong with Academy, but it did introduce pre-animated combos that kind of took out the magic of fluidly hacking squads of stormtroopers to pieces. The series that gets the lowest podium place would have to be the SSX snowboarding series. The last game of this franchise we saw was Blur, which to most players was considered an abomination. SSX on tour wasn't much better, but if a developer could isolate what made SSX 3 and Tricky so great, I'm confident it would be one phenomenal game. Second place goes to the Rogue Squadron games. Factor 5 went out of business after the colossal failure known as Lair, but the series they were most famous for was the Star Wars flying game Rogue Squadron. The original was one of the best games on the N64, and the sequel was likewise to the GameCube. The third was a bit iffy with the introduction of sluggish ground combat, but I would love to see a publisher resurrect Factor 5 and commission them to create one last Star Wars dogfighter for old time's sake. The gold medal I have to award to GoldenEye. The first game was definitely among the top 5, if not the best game on the Nintendo 64. Yes, I know, they've already tried to reinvigorate the license with GoldenEye Rogue Agent, and that turned out to be quite a flop, but come on guys, try harder. At least release the original game for download with full online play. I'd pay good money for that. To be honest, I had a hard time coming up with the franchises to put here because usually franchises die for a good reason, so there are only really 2 runners-up this time around. The first would be a Knights of the Old Republic game that doesn't require me to pay for it more than once, and the second is the Panzer Dragoon franchise. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you can think of any other franchises that you think should be brought back, then please leave a comment. Just keep it mature.